Welcome back to Mars! We're nearing the end of week 2 now, and things are looking up. The new power network expansion is really great. We have enough power to upgrade all the printers and get a tool manufactory built as well, but there's one more trick to doubling the fuel efficiency of the backup solid fuel generator. Today I'm going to show you how I build a solid fuel ingot factory below our solar panels array. It's going to take several days, but once we're complete, we'll have a major upgrade to our backup power systems that can last through endgame and beyond. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is get a gas utility built so that we can build a tank refill station for the O2 canister. And next we need to build some insulated pipes. And we're just going to reuse the pressure regulator that we had left over from the passive AC build. Alright, now that we got the pipes, we'll head inside and get the tank refill station built. We'll leave a space for the pressure regulator and get down the fill station. Now we just got to wire it up. And we'll set it to about 7,500, somewhere around there. That should be good. And let's get the tank in there. Use this time to refill my stuff and take off the suit, get something to drink. It's gonna be a sunset soon. Doing pretty good. None of the potatoes are done. I don't have any cereal bars, so I'll use one I got on my person here. And we'll just wait for this to be done filling. Alright, there we go. Now let's get suited up and head back out there. We've got this fancy solid fuel generator here, but feeding it coal is extremely inefficient. It's a big waste of it. What we could do is turn this coal into solid fuel. We just need to combine it with some volatiles. What we're going to do is create a furnace that can hold volatile only, and we can feed it coal. But we need to take any gas out of the coal before we do that, so we're going to need a chamber before that in order to clear it out. And what we can do is use the heat from the first chamber to heat the volatiles in the second chamber. And so as the coal passes through the first, it gets degassed and gets sent into the volatile furnace, which is the same temperature, and then comes out as solid fuel. So that will double the energy we get from any single bit of coal we put in here, and they also stack pretty high too. But first things first, we're going to build all the stuff that we need for this job. We're going to need to print a whole lot of insulated pipes, and I'm going to get that going now. Okay, so while we're printing our insulated pipes, we're going to print out our tool manufactory, which is going to go over here, and we can get started on printing out our printer mods. We need the electronics mod first, so we're going to need 8 constantan for that, and I'm going to give it the exact amount so I don't need to babysit it. So we split an ingot by turning the power off, throw it in there, turn it on real quick, and then eject the remainder. Okay, so now it's printing our electronic printer mod. We got our tool manufactory being built. While that stuff is being printed, I'm going to clear out an area under the solid fuel generator here. And this is going to be for our solid fuel creation chamber. And this will be a nice entrance on this side. We're going to be building a 2-frame chamber, but it's going to be surrounded on all sides. Okay, so that should be a good area to work with. Oh, looks like the tool manufactory is done. Let's get that built. The tool printer is where we print all the cool toys. The hard suit, better tools, better backpacks, larger bags. Now we got a tool manufactory. Oh, and we just got our electronic printer mod. Look at that. Now we can print our other mods. Let's get the autolathe printer mod working. Next we need to build some steel frames and steel sheets. I need 10 steel frames. So that'll be 20 steel. And again, if I want to make it real easy on myself and not overprint, you can just split it out like this. 20 steel makes 10 frames. And then I'm going to need to be able to fill them all with steel, and that's 2 per. So I'm going to need 20 steel sheets, which is, I believe, 10. Or are they 1 per? Nope, half, so 10. There we go, now we can start printing the steel sheets. Oh, the autolathe mod is done. We'll apply that real quick. And now we'll print the sheets. Next we can get the bender mod going. And we're going to need some pipe utilities. A couple of the insulated type. I want 4 of them, so I can make 2 of the large ones. Over here I'm going to start printing furnaces. I need 2 of them. The volatile chamber and the heat chamber. Or furnace, rather. The chamber around them is going to be temperature controlled so that they stay insulated, and we'll need a couple active vents for that. And the last thing we want is the tool printer mod. Oh, and we've got the vendor mod. We can get that applied now. The next thing we need to build is the gas heat exchangers. We're going to use the small ones, and I want 4 of them. This works out perfectly because I've only got enough to print 4 of them. Alright, and our second furnace is built. Now we can work on the chamber itself down here. This will be the outer perimeter walls and the floor. The entire purpose of this chamber is to hold some gas because nothing will burn below 350 kph. Well, no items or cables or anything. Alright, the heat exchangers are done. Oh, and a tool printer mod. Alright, now our tool manufactory is fully upgraded. I need some chutes for this. I'm not going to have it run to the central stacker. I'm just going to run a chute from the tool printer down to an output where anything that comes out will just stack up. Yes, we all know Peachy. Uh-huh. I'm going to mix some red spray paint and some black spray paint. We'll use the red spray paint for the volatiles furnace and pipes and chutes, and the black for the coal and heat furnace and its pipes. And we need 3 active vents. Okay, so the furnaces are going to sit with their face poking right out here. It's hard to get it placed exactly, so I'm just gonna do my best. So,
power low.
1, 2, right there. And then the other one, the same orientation. 1 space away from it, like that. And all the pipes will be coming out the back, and the front will be poking right out here through a little wall that we're going to build. One of our active vents is going to go out here. I'm just going to set it there for now so I can get it out of my inventory. One of the active vents is going to sit on this wall and on this wall. And this one will be blow out and this one will be in. And let's go ahead and name them now. This is going to be the solid fuel chamber inward vent. And this is going to be the solid fuel chamber outward vent. This is going to be the solid fuel chamber furnace heat. And this is going to be the solid fuel chamber fuel. Next, we need to wire these things up. Before we continue, I'm going to need to do a few things. We don't need 2 radiators on this anymore, so I'm going to get those put up. And get some food and water, and do a little quick mining for some iron, because we need a whole lot of chutes, and just used up all the iron for the printers and printer mods. Now I'm taking these down because we can see that the temperature is already 20 degrees, and that's just a bit too much. The swing is too powerful for this small of a space, and you kind of got to do the science for yourself with a passive AC system like this in order to get it just right. But there's always going to be a little deviation, and that's where an active system can come in and pick up a load. It's still beneficial to have a passive system kind of dialed in for your building as close as possible, because it helps take up the heat load and means less power used with an active system. But together, they can be more efficient. Alright, that was a good mining trip. I just blasted through and just got a ton of iron. I'm going to smelt it up here now. We're going to need lots of chutes and lots of insulated pipes and a few other devices here and there, but mostly it takes iron and steel. Pretty low-tech stuff. And now that that's all done, we can get our chutes printed. Just get them kicking out here. Okay, now we need to name this active vent, so I need to get it placed in order to do that. Just toss those down for now. And this one is going to be Solid Fuel Chamber Mars. Its job is to bring in Martian air and fill the chamber below so that it'll stay insulated. And next we're going to get everything wired up to the logic network. So we've got SFC out and SFC in for our solid fuel chamber. We're going to lead this right up to our logic network that's controlling our solar panels and backup power systems, because this is all going to run off the same chip. This is just more power system stuff. These vents are crucial to making sure the chamber remains at a pressure that can't burn cables or any of the devices in here, regardless of how hot it gets. We're going to need to wire both of the furnaces. Alright, now that we got that covered, I want to paint my furnaces before everything starts getting sealed up here, and we can do that even before they're constructed, so I'm just going to get that out of the way real quick. Volatiles one will be red, and that one will be black, and the color will show once they're fully constructed. Okay, we've got our chutes now, and we need to get our pipes. So the red ones will be for the volatile furnace, and the black ones will be for the standard. The heat exchangers are going to go just outside here, facing inward like this, and we want them to be just back like that, so we've got some room to breathe. There we go. We've got a block of heat exchangers. Now, this one being our volatile furnace, this one will get the red, and the other one will get the black. And we don't really need to have them constructed, so I'm going to just get this done real quick here. Oh, need the wrench, of course. I knew I got that junction wrong. There we go. And the rest are going to be T-junctions, just like that. Now for the heat furnace. Okay, so now both of the furnaces are tied together through this heat exchange array without sharing their atmospheres. want to bring them up here so we can get an eye on what's going on with them without being down there, because that's going to be a sealed chamber when we're done here. So let's get the red and the black and get them trailing down there. I need to get the other one going in order to have an idea of where I'm going to plan these. So let's get the input. This is for our chamber air pressure. This is going to lead to the two insulated inline tanks here. This inline tank network will hold the gas that keeps this chamber around the furnaces at a pressure between 110 and 330 kilopascals. And that will insulate the furnace enough to allow it to remain stable at the temperature that we set it at without changing. Okay, now let's get the red. Now that we got the pipes done, let's get their meters on. And because I like to be fancy, I'm going to paint them red and black. Alright, we're going to need some iron sheets. Now that we've got the pipes run, we can complete the furnaces and start getting the chutes. I want to move this wall back a little bit so I have some room to move. Now it's time to run the chutes. So the first one is going to be the junction between the two. This is going to bring in coal from the first furnace into the second, and it's also going to bring in volatile ice from above. This will be a corner leading down, and I want to use a window as this one so we can see when it's got some stock. Right here is going to be an outlet, or an inlet, and we're going to do another chute inlet right here. Now that one... Oops, yeah, I got that wrong. That one I want red. Alright, now this corner will go up to here. Let's see if we got the chutes for that. I think that's 5. There we go, 5 banger. And also 5 here. It would help to use the right colored chute on occasion. And so here's the coal input chute, and that will lead to the heat furnace, so we'll need to get a run going between those. The coal will enter this furnace first, and will heat up and release any gas that it has before it enters into the volatile furnace. It's very important to have that degassing process, otherwise you'll contaminate the pure volatile gas and you won't be able to make solid fuel. Now this could be improved a bit. I could use some sorters on the inputs of the red chute there and this here black chute to make sure that only what I want goes in there, but it's early game and this is just sort of a manual setup anyway. Now that we got all the chutes run, all of the logistics should be set. Just doing a dummy check now that everything is completed. All the chutes are correct, all of the pipes are correct, and all of the wiring is correct. Now it's time to fill in some of these frames. I'm going to need 2 iron walls first for the face of the furnace. This is going to be the permanent walls, but it is going to give us a way to hold pressure before we get to that stage. So I just need 2 of them. And these iron walls are going to go right on the front of this, so I want to make sure that I've got them on the inside of the seam, like this. can still access the controls poking out here. And this is a solid frame that'll be filled in when we're complete. We need to get the solid frames filled on the other side now. So now it's solid on all the sides except the top.
Hydration critical.
And we're going to do a quick run into the base to handle food and water before we get to priming it up with gas. Alright, next, since we're going to be pulling air at night, we're going to use a condensation valve right off here and just into a reservoir. And I'm going to need one more pipe before that. Where are they at? I don't have any standard colored ones. Okay, next it's time to get some code written real quick. This is going to be a very simple addition to our existing power control system script. We're going to be adding in some active vents here. We can get it from the Stationepedia. This is the actual vent, and paste it here. And we've got our 3 vents. We'll call it SFC, Solid Fuel Chamber Vent Mars, and our inward vent that pulls air into our chamber network. Now above our main loop here, I want to start some instructions just to get them initialized. So I'm going to use I'm going to set their mode, and I'm going to set their pressure external and internal values to special ones. You have to set the mode first, otherwise the mode change will change the internal or external pressure that you've changed. So they'll just reset to default. And we need to perform a yield. And I only want the internal pressure to be 1.5 megapascals, so it isn't going to be a large amount of air. It won't need it either. And then we're going to set the pressure external for the vent in to 330 kilopascals and the vent out to 110 kilopascals. We're going to set the Mars vent on, and the other 2 are going to remain off for now. Okay, so that's it. We've got our starter script done. I'm going to export it, and we'll see this come on and start filling up this chamber here. It's going to dump any potential liquids into this tank over here, and we could wash that with our atmospherics tablet. So let's get an eye on that. Nope, none yet. But if there was any, it would. It's at this time of night, it's quite likely that we'll get some liquid buildup, but that's not a big deal. Moving right along, what we're going to do is seal up the chamber around it. So let's get some steel sheets and the welder. Watch out so we don't hit any cables. Iron frames, that's a mistake. I thought I already replaced them, that's why I have 2 more of these. Steel frames, okay. Now the welder will work. Funny how that works. Okay, now that we got some pressure in the pipe, we can set those other vents to come on as well. Before I do that, I want to go ahead and get them primed while it's nice and cold outside. So we can start off with a few of these into our volatile furnace, and we'll melt them by pressing the button manually. So now we've got a little bit of pressure and gas in there. And now we can fire up the heat furnace with an actual load of gas. Alright, now that that's firing up, it's going to be heating up this one in kind because their temperatures are tied. And since this one is now hot enough to melt ice, I can drop a whole bunch of volatile in this. We're just going to give it 50. Now this is only volatile, and I'm going to go ahead and grab that labeler just to highlight this, as if I would ever forget. But we can only ever drop volatile ice in here. That's what it's for, that's its purpose, it's why it's painted red. So now that we've got pressure in here, we can activate the active vents down below, and they'll keep the pressure in that room nice and stable. We're just going to scroll down here to the active vents for the solid fuel chamber and set their on state to 1. And we'll just confirm and export. Once we see the gauge here rise back up to 1500, we'll know that that room is properly under pressure. It looks like it's heading back up toward it now. That means the room is now under pressure, so it's not pulling out of the chamber gas here. It's stable, and this is now filling back up to maximum. Let's see if we ever did come up with any water on this. Yeah, I've got liquid CO2 in there. Sort of deleted a whole lot of that liquid CO2 that I don't want. Make it a little easier to pull it out of there. And there's still some in the network, so it's being pulled out right now. Okay, so then that's finished, we can make the final modification to our code here. We can turn off this active vent. So, just going to confirm and export, and now that vent is off. Now it's at a point where it's got a whole lot of oxygen, and I can just toss in some volatiles into it to heat it up for a while, and it'll gobble up any of the volatile in there, turn it into fire. Last steps, we open up both chambers, and we're going to seal this room up. Okay, now that everything is done, we can do our test. I'm going to remove this chute so we can see it pop right back up here. And let's give it some coal. And just like that, we've got our solid fuel, which is twice as energetic as coal to burn in the solid fuel generator. So now we've got an extremely efficient backup power source in a chamber right underneath our solar panel network. Alright, lastly we want to get rid of this condensation valve because we won't need it anymore. And we can repurpose this active vent for the exhaust for the furnace. We can also add a little dog leg here, and what I'm going to do is print a pipe heater. And when the battery charge is over 90%, we will heat the pipe using solar power only. Now what we want to do here is set up our heater logic. What we want is solar pipe heat whenever we're over N ratio. Let's define our pipe heaters. And we're going to read the battery ratio. We need to define a ratio minimum. When the ratio is over our minimum, the pipe heaters will come on. They will only use solar power when they do this. So we're not going to be using any of our battery power. So as you can see, it's on right now, and any solar power that we're getting is being transferred directly to the pipe here. It would probably help to have the pipe in place. And one final touch, I've added some stairs to make it easier to get around the base. Now we're really doing great. If you like this video and the things I build in Stationeers, please hit the like button and check out some of my other videos. Share this video with your fellow Stationeers too. It really helps the channel grow. This Solid Fuel Ingot Factory will last for a very long time, though it might see some improvements once materials aren't so hard to come by. All in all, it's been a productive week on Mars. We have a tool manufacturing now to make all the toys, and all the printers are fully upgraded. We've dialed in our passive AC unit a bit more, and we have a station to refill our oxygen canister. I hope you'll join me in the next episode of my Martian playthrough, where we'll create an active AC unit and oxygen capture system for the greenhouse. See you later!